Welcome back to Punk Politics, I'm Aid Thompson. Sometimes you get weeks of chaos and sometimes mayhem, but the last few days have been both. Or K-hem, as some insufferable cretin would no doubt brand it. Because the British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak suffered an humiliating resignation when Immigration Minister and opposite of a child's entertainer, Mickey Jenricky, abruptly walked out.
We have had confirmation from no other than the Home Secretary James Cleverly in the House of Commons that Robert Jenrick, Immigration Minister, his number two, has resigned.
You see, Jenrick wants to put refugees on a plane against their will and fly them off to Rwanda, while Sunak's ability to see planes take off is confined entirely to private ones to the Midlands. Anyway, Mickey Jenricky left the building, and this was shortly before Sunak had gone to give a straight-talking speech to the members of the 1822 committee. And reportedly, he gave them a sort of ultimatum, like, guys, let me break this down to brass tacks. You can either get behind me, or it's death at the election. It's unite or die. I mean, it's a bit of a hit to the old ego, isn't it? That basically immediately they were all like, yeah, I think I'd rather die though, to be honest. Hours later, probable architect of the Mayos, Suella Braverman appeared on the BBC's flagship Today programme, showcasing her credentials ahead of any future leadership bid.
You've condemned the leader of your party as uncertain, weak and lacking in leadership. You've said he never had any intention of keeping his promises. You've accused him of betrayal and wishful thinking. You've attacked lawyers, judges, civil servants, the head of the Metropolitan Police, people who are worried about deaths in Gaza. You've attacked the homeless. You've attacked migrants as being part of an invasion. Isn't the truth you're a headline grabber who does it by spreading poison even within your own party?
God, it's depressing, isn't it? To see this same ambition and ego thing just play out again and again. Like, do you remember when Boris Johnson was doing this? You know, briefing against May, storming out of cabinet, shots from the sidelines, being a cunt. I can't believe you would say something so disgraceful. All right, yeah, okay, I'm sorry. Like, we've all seen this before, haven't we? So where do we actually think this is going to end? It's going to end with Braverman as Tory leader, possibly as Prime Minister. But here is the thing. Do we actually think she's going to be any good? Like, is she capable of actual leadership? Really? Look at her track record. The speeding, the lying about the speeding course, the own goal with the Home Office when she tried to decategorise gay and lesbian asylum seekers, and then the World Refugee Fund or something. They were like, well, if you do that, we're going to withhold this £10 billion of funding. £10 billion just gone from the Home Office budget, like monumental mistakes. Can she hold her own in interviews? Of course not. She can't even answer questions on Good Morning Britain. You know who can answer questions on breakfast TV? Anyone! But she can't even survive GMB without looking like Garth on Wayne's World.
Did you ever see that scene in Scanners when that dude's head blew up?
She's a lawyer who can't even stay within the parameters of domestic traffic law, let alone international law. Like, do people seriously think that she's some sort of high performer? You know, the natural choice for us as Britons to meet the challenges that we're facing. Really? Again and again, we have to go through this history repeats itself rigmarole where an overly confident upstart starts briefing from the sidelines. Like they're over-promoted already for the job that they had or had until recently, but they're certain that they're ready for the top. They've got a myriad of mistakes, miscalculations, and K-hem behind them, but still, there's cheerleaders just on the sidelines like, oh, we're certain that this is the person that's going to help our country to thrive. You know, only to find out, you know, just as was true with Boris Johnson, that once this individual gets what he or she wants, then it's like, it's not like then they suddenly become competent. They're just as ill-equipped, uninformed and chaotic as they were 4 years ago. It's the same person. There's just going to be more of us paying the price for it now. So just as when Johnson became PM, then everything from Brexit to COVID all fell to pieces in front of our eyes, Braverman too will, follow the same trajectory. She's going to snipe from the sidelines until she becomes Tory leader, possibly Prime Minister, but then she too will be ill-equipped and be terrible in interviews. And there'll be compromises with donors and scandals and oversights that blow up in her face. Like, I'm not losing my mind, am I? It's the same thing repeating itself again. Overconfident, over-promoted Peter Principals who get, buoyed to power, only to be precisely as unqualified and unfit for office as we all warned about, but then somehow we all have to pay the price for it. Anyway, the Rwanda bill vote is coming next week, and the government are widely expected to lose it. Partly because, for the right of the party, nothing is ever hardline or cruel enough, but also partly, and reassuringly, Labour might actually oppose this. I know. I've forgotten they did that. I mean, look, right, what this all boils down to is this. The Tories created this Rwanda policy on an optics-only basis. They knew it would probably be against international law, but it made them look hardline. And it was something that they could point to whenever the subject of net migration not coming down was broached in interview. But it was never supposed to work. It was just for the tabloids. But the trouble with that was there was a miscalculation, because Johnson ejected most of the sort of half-sensible moderates, and so now most of what they're left with is just the lunatics. And frankly, most of them are too dim to be cynical. You're talking about a class of people who can only read the Rwanda policy on a face value basis. Like, if you told them it was just about optics or an exercise in press manipulation, they would just be like, when is the Rwanda plane flying off? People like Sunak and Suella will be like, no, I thought I explained. Like, we're not really flying them off to Rwanda. It's just manipulation. It's just gaslighting. But I like the planes though. So anyway, now they're in a situation where they're being expected to actually deliver this thing to appease the political wing of the real ERG, while being hindered in doing so by international law. And if they don't somehow deliver it, Rishi Sunak will likely get mutinied. But if they do, then Sunak continues to slide further in the polls, because here is the scoop, right? No matter how much they say in interviews that this is what the British people expect, or, this is a priority for the British people. The top priorities for British people, if you go onto YouGov and look at what the actual priorities are for people like you and me, anyone, like the guy down the street, the person in the barbers, most people still care most about the NHS and the economy. So this whole thing, this gigantic obsession and all of this effort to fly a plane off to Rwanda is like, yeah, oi, Rishi, listen, my rent just doubled. And my mum can't find a care home. Yep, I hear you. It is very serious, I understand. And we are taking it very seriously, which is why, right, thank me later, but here it is. Just announced a brand new £50 billion Border Force Patrol gang called the Great British Harpoony Distraction Squad. Oh my God. So they both have to deliver it and cannot deliver it. They have to distract, but they cannot fully deliver that distraction. It's like they're trying to get the attention of a moth with a colourful picture of a flame. Personally, I hope they do sort the Rwanda deal out. I know that might not be a fashionable thing to say, but sincerely, I hope they do. Because then I hope they expand it to include all dissenters. Because, you know how Trump is talking about, building a network of detention camps? He's going to house all of his immigrants. And then somebody was saying, then they'll expand it to house, radical leftist Marxist thugs. Well, I hope they do that with Rwanda. Because here's the thing, right? If they do that with all of the asylum seekers, and then maybe they expand it into a little village, and then they start putting dissenters in there, all of the leftists, all of the activists, all of the musicians who were brave enough to speak out, press regulation advocates. If they ship me over to Rwanda, like at some point, honestly, I'm going to be like, all right, this is... This is where all the cool people are. It'll be better than the first time I turned up at the Big Chill Bar. Like, all right, this is where all the cool people hang out. Then somebody else turns around like, oh, Jess, is it weird that I can see someone's taxi driver drinking brandy by himself over there? Oh, yeah, Kate. Or maybe is that somebody's dad coming to pick them up? Anyway, guys, as always, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think the government are on course to lose the Rwanda vote? Do you think that could be the end of Rishi Sunak? Or do you think the Tories will attempt to install their 4th Prime Minister of the last 18 months? Would you come and join me in my new little Rwandan liberal province? You would? You would? Okay, well, why don't you start by joining me in my little liberal Patreon. That's patreon.com/Aid Thompson. Or you could join the YouTube community. They're both basically the same. All you got to do is just click the button that says, join. That's it for now, and I'm out this mother...
Well, there you go again with your potty mouth.
All right. Yeah, flaming twazzock.
Should be ashamed of yourself.